We're slow mad, so we
Yeah.
do take our time in places, but even that, I mean, you're constantly going to goodbye parties, saying goodbye to people. It's all
Mm,
worth it. I will always say it's all worth it, but that comes with the territory of being a nomad. You are just
yeah.
always in a state of flux, I guess.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance based private therapy practice and a multi six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Managing a successful private practice can be challenging, even if you have all the skills and experience you need to support clients. Most training programs offer little to no guidance on running your own business. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join Alma, you can get credentialed with major insurance payers within 45 days, as well as guaranteed payment within 2 weeks of each session. You can also attract clients who are the right fit for your practice with a free profile in Alma's searchable directory. As you build your caseload, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients. Visit helloalma.com/Kim to download your free guide to identifying and connecting with clients who are the right fit for your practice. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get your guide.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. As some of you know, I've been branching out away from therapists per se that are traveling to other traveling nomads, entrepreneurs that are also kind of living this dream as a digital nomad. And I'm really excited today. I ran across Andrea Morrison and she's got the coolest story. I can't wait to just share her story and just talk about what she does and how she makes the digital nomad life work for her and her business and all of that. So Andrea, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let's start out. Every podcast guest sends me their bio and tells a little story. And yours was like, I read like 2 sentences. I was like, oh my God. So she's kind of got like this eat, pray, love story. And I love if we can just maybe start there, how you were sort of more like in the corporate world and how you evolved into ending up in Bali. You
Of
want to talk about
course.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny you say I have an interesting story, but I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've come across a lot of digital nomads where I say, oh, I lived in Bali, and it's not that exciting because so many
Oh,
nomads have lived in Bali and kind of have the same story as me. So it's like, I hear like
wow.
my
I hope
story,
that'll be,
I'm like, it's not that interesting in the nomad community, but I do think I
yeah.
have kind of a non-traditional story. It started out kind of, quote unquote normal, where I was growing
Yeah.
up, and I had a great job at a TV station in Seattle, and I was there for 8 years.
Wow.
I loved it. I was actually really happy there. And then something just started shifting in me. I started getting more tapped into my spirituality, and I started listening more to my intuition, and I kind of played a game. I call it playing with the universe. And I just asked for a sign. And I was like, what should I do? What can I do? And it said, you need to travel. So I started
Wow.
stepping out of my comfort zone. And one of the things that I did first was actually go to a movie by myself. And that was terrifying to me at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of snowballed. I started taking little mini trips. And then I took a trip to Bali. And while I was
Wow.
in Bali, classic eat, pray, love, I just sort of had this big epiphany where I was like, what am I actually doing with my life? At the
Oh, wow.
core of my job at this TV station was essentially marketing to convince people to watch a certain channel. And by that time, I stopped watching news. I stopped watching TV. Not
Hmm.
all TV, but I did not watch news anymore. And it felt weird
Yeah.
working for news when that was my job. So I quit. I moved to Bali. I
Yeah.
had my whole eat, pray, love experience. And since then, I have built my business and I've lived in Portugal and Vietnam extensively. I taught in Thailand, and I'm currently in a little mountain town in Bulgaria. So it's kind of
Oh
all
my gosh.
evolved from that one little solo movie date with myself.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So literally, like it was a big deal to go to the movie by yourself, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I think I'll go to Bali. Did
Yeah,
you
pretty
go by
much.
yourself? You're like, yeah, pretty much.
I didn't go to by
Uh,
myself. So I did the movie
okay.
date, and then it just, yeah, I kept like stepping more and more out of my comfort zone. And then
Yeah.
that's
Uh-huh.
when I kind of heard that like whisper that was like, you need to take a big trip
Wow.
now. And so through a series of synchronicities and signs, it was Bali. And then I sent out a message to a few friends and we all went to Bali together. And then when I
Oh my
came
gosh.
back from that trip, that's when I quit my job and I moved back to Bali. So it was I've been all
Oh,
over the place. I've had several times going away, coming back home, going to Europe, coming back home, going to Asia. So I've kind of been all over the place.
wow. I got goosebumps literally when you said I went on vacation with my friends. I came back and then I decided to move there. That's like so cool and so
Yeah.
brave, you know?
Everybody kept saying I was brave. And I'm like, but I'm Andrea. I'm not a brave person. I don't understand. This isn't. But looking back, it's like
Wow.
that was actually a big deal. But even at the time, like
Yeah.
going to a movie by myself, that was very brave for me because didn't do
Yeah.
things like that. So it all starts with something
Wow.
small like that. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then to hear that you're finally tapping into like, this feels incongruent to me. Like I'm all like
Mhm.
getting into my own spirituality, my intuition, and then I'm selling news. Like I don't
Yeah.
even connect with that anymore. I have to stop this like inauthentic
Yeah.
thing I'm feeling. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So when you moved to Bali, did you go by yourself then, or did you convince like a friend to go with you, or you
No,
did?
I knew one person on the island. He used to work at the TV station. And that's why I
Oh,
ended up
wow.
traveling there in the first place, was because he built a villa. So I visited the villa. So he was the only person that I knew.
Wow.
And I didn't have a job or any friends. I
Oh
went with this
gosh.
mission to learn how to surf and to scuba dive. And I did all those things. And this was back in 2017. And that's
Oh my
actually
gosh.
when the volcano started erupting. So it was kind of this crazy time
Oh.
to be there because 2 months in, it started erupting. And then I was going through this weird debate in my mind. Should I go back home? Is this safe? Am I giving up on these nomadic dreams already? But I stayed, and then they formed this nonprofit organization to help these little villages in the mountains. And so I was helping like sort out the food and get donations and deliver the food. So we were going up into the
Gosh.
mountains and seeing, oh my gosh, seeing these like little villages with these kids. And like, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent, but like
It's
memories are coming
okay. I
back. I'm
love
like,
this.
oh yeah, this was crazy. I can't
It's
believe I
so cool.
experienced this. But
It's
just like
amazing. Yeah.
it
Mm.
was so powerful in helping them and seeing how they lived their lives too, and playing with the kids and realizing, even if you don't speak the language, you can still communicate with them. You can still connect with them. And so I was
Mm.
skipping with the kids while the adults were talking about the water filters. And so it just was a really, really
Wow.
magical experience.
Oh my gosh. It's like it was just meant to be, like to be
Yeah.
there and help with that. And oh my gosh, that is so cool. Okay. So how long did you stay in Bali? Because I think I was interviewing somebody recently and they were telling me about, and this might be new, like a visa requirement where you could only
Mhm.
stay for like 60 days or 90 days or
Yeah.
something, that you had
Yeah.
to leave and come back.
Yep. Yeah, so
what
I
was that
stayed
like?
so I stayed 4 months total. And funny you mentioned visas. So here I am, this big world traveler, you could say. And I did my whole visa run. I went to Singapore for a little trip and then came back. And
Oh, okay.
this is something that I learned the hard way. And I feel like I should give a disclaimer because I know as an American, like I'm very privileged. I'm very lucky that we have a very good passport. It's easy to get into
Yes.
countries, but visas complicate travel, obviously. And when I traveled to Bali, that was like I said, I couldn't even go to movies at
Yeah.
first. When I went to Bali, I had this guy tell me who owned the villa. He's like, okay, you get in this line, you get this, you get the visa on arrival, da 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 da. So when I went through that experience, I kind of took that as, okay, well, then that's how every country is. Like I just show
Oh,
up and I get my visa. So the second time I left the America, I went to Vietnam. Well, you need to have a
wow.
visa in order to enter the country. You don't get it on arrival. So when I showed up at
Oh,
the airport to leave, they asked, where's your visa? And I'm like, what do you
you're like,
mean?
what?
What do you, don't I get it while I'm there? It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But
Oh, but
yeah, I
this
didn't
is
know you
good
had to.
because people
Yeah.
don't know.
That's
Yeah.
the thing is you don't know what you don't know. And I was such a
Mm.
novice traveler. And even though I had been to Bali, you would think I would know these things. But, I'll admit the stereotype of Americans not really traveling very much is kind of true. And so I just didn't know these things. So I had to go
Yeah.
into this teeny tiny little back room behind like the luggage claim and pay $250 to get like an
Oh,
expedited visa. And so now
wow.
I learned my lesson. You were asking me about Bali, but I thought I would share that just in case anyone
That's so
else is
helpful.
thinking about traveling. Just look into the visa requirements.
Yeah. So speaking of that, like, do you have advice around that since you have been to all these different countries and maybe you stay for extended periods? What would be the step for somebody that's brand new to this? And
Yeah.
how do you figure out what the visa process is in these different countries? Is it like
You
a
know,
Google search or?
yeah.
Yeah.
So my best advice, see, I wish there was one, and maybe there is, but I wish there was one
Yeah.
website where I'm pretty sure there probably is, where you just type
Mhm.
in like what your country, where you're from, where your passport is, and then where you want to go and the requirements. But there are so many changes. It's changing
Yeah.
constantly. Like constantly. Even when we were in Vietnam, it was like every week we're like, okay, what's the visa situation now? You just have to
Wow.
look at the embassy website. So if you look at the US
Okay.
embassy website or the Thai, whatever country you're going to, look at their visa requirements because it's different for every passport holder. So I
Hmm.
always look up the embassy websites and then also joining forums because I like to hear it from
Hmm.
actual people who have gone through the experience. So whether that's, I mean, most likely the best option is like Facebook groups and
Yeah.
joining and especially if you're a female, there's almost always a women's travel group for whatever city or country you're going to. You can just pop
Hmm.
in and say, hey, I'm visiting from this country. Has anybody gone through this recently? Because it's
Nice.
nerve-wracking and it's
Yeah.
I have a huge fear around that because I'm always scared I'm going to show up like that time I was going to go to
Oh,
Vietnam. They're
yeah.
just going to like spring something on me that I didn't see or didn't know, or they just implemented. So I
Hmm.
don't mean to like cast upon fear on anyone. It is worth
No, it's
it, but
good. It's
it's getting
helpful.
easier now too. Now that COVID is kind of past us, but the visa requirements are getting a little bit more back to normal. So it feels a little better
Yeah.
and easier.
Yeah, no, it's super helpful because before we hit record, I was sharing with you that we're going to be down in the Dominican Republic and we
Oh,
were researching visas and it clearly says 30 days. So we're like, okay, well, we'll only book our Airbnb there for, 29 days and then we'll get out of the country.
yeah.
And the Airbnb host was like, oh, don't worry about that. She's like, it's fine. You just pay when you leave. They'll calculate the
Ah,
days and you pay. And we were like, really? you know? But we went to the embassy website and they even say it on there. They're like, yeah, it's totally fine. If you stay over, you
oh,
just
that's
pay.
good.
I know. And it equates to like $1 a day or something like that, like
Wow.
Dominican pesos. we were like, okay. I mean, it's on the embassy
Yeah.
website. We even
Yeah.
looked in some forums, like you're saying, and people are like, yeah, you just pay when you leave. It's totally laid back. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that's nice.
I know.
That's see,
Yeah.
that's still like, that makes me nervous though, because
I know. Me
I'm
too.
such a
I'm like,
rule
there's no
follower, and
way.
it's like, what? But that's something you learn too when you're traveling is,
Yeah.
a lot of times the majority of people do it one way that's different from even what the government is saying. I mean, a lot of the
Wow.
rules and regulations are kind of corrupt. So like, if you get pulled over in Thailand, you just need a certain amount of money and you pay them and you're off. Like,
Oh my
so every
gosh.
country's different. You just kind of gotta go with the flow.
And it's scary because it's like, okay, what if I get arrested? I mean, that's always the
Yeah.
like, or,
Oh,
you just never
so how
know.
long are you staying then? Are you going for the 29
Well,
days or are you gonna do longer?
we extended it. So
Oh,
based on this information, we extended and we're
mhm.
hoping, I mean, it's still a little nerve-wracking because it's like, okay, this is what everybody says, but so we extended it. I think it's like 10 weeks or something. And then the idea was
Oh my
we would like
gosh.
island hop or go to some other part of the Dominican
Uh-huh.
Republic, but we don't even know after that date where we're going to end up.
I
So
see. I
yeah,
see. Well, that and the fact that it was saying that on the website too, like just take a screenshot of that and show them, this is on your website.
good idea.
Take lots of screenshots. I would suggest that if people are starting to travel.
That's an awesome tip. Yes, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up, really,
Yeah.
because I mean, for me anyway, that's one of the scariest parts of it is like you said, like the rules change all the time. It's like, what if
Yeah.
I, didn't do it right? Or, am I going to get in
Yeah.
trouble? Like that's the big thing we worry about. But yeah, I'm glad to talk to somebody that's basically country hopping and and you're
Yeah.
okay.
Oh
You're
yeah. I'm in
still here.
Bulgaria. I'm here for 3 months. I can only be here for 3 months. So
Okay.
I've become very accustomed to the visa calculator, and calculating exactly 90 days, and then I got to leave.
Nice.
And so, yeah, there's a little math involved with travel, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that in time zones. It's like,
Yeah, oh my
oh.
gosh. It's so confusing. There are some apps though that are really helpful
Oh
if we're
yeah.
just spitfiring tips, but I love
Yeah.
called Time Buddy. And so you can add,
Oh,
because what I have a hard time is doing the math, seeing what time it is in America and then calculating like, okay, well, later today, what time will it be? But Time Buddy, you can adjust the time. So it's like 9 o'clock
oh,
my morning shows me what time it will be in America. So anyway, that's an app I
oh, that's
use
awesome.
all the
Okay.
time.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna download that because I
Yeah.
really struggle with time zones, even just in the United States, being
Mhm.
Pacific versus my, business is basically East Coast based. So yeah,
Mm,
it's
mhm.
tough. Then when
Yeah.
you go over to Europe, oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know. And even
Or
just a few
Thailand or
hours makes a
Bali.
big difference. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. So, okay. So you're in Bulgaria right now. You got
Mhm.
to be there for 90 days. How do you plan the next place? Are you like way planned out or is it just kind of like on a whim, like wherever it takes you kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's been very fluid lately, but so I'm traveling with my boyfriend. We've been doing this kind of
Okay.
nomadic lifestyle the past 4 years. I've been traveling for about 6 years. Most of the
Nice.
time we kind of have an idea, I guess. So when we were in Thailand, I was in Thailand for a year, and then we were planning on going to Malaysia. And then last minute we changed to Vietnam. And we were really happy
Oh,
about that though, because that's when COVID was happening. And we were really
mm.
fortunate to be in Vietnam during COVID because it was a not a pleasant experience, but nothing was really going on there. So we could travel within Vietnam
Oh, nice.
easily. So we weren't really locked down until later. But then, we've been kind of going back and forth. And then this time we met up in Germany. My boyfriend is German. And then we
Mm.
said, let's go to Bulgaria for 3 months because we've been here before. We love it. And then let's go back to Vietnam because they just extended their visas.
Oh,
They're allowing 3-month visas now. I think it's going to be implemented in just a few days, actually. Cross your
oh,
fingers
cool.
that actually goes through. And then,
Huh.
so the last time we were in Vietnam, so we've been there twice. And the last time it was month to month. It was, are we staying or are we going? I had to leave every single month. I had to fly to Thailand for a day and come back. Actually, not even a day. I would get lunch in the airport and fly back every
Oh
single
my
month.
gosh.
And
Really?
yeah, it was very draining, but I love Vietnam. We have such a good life there that it was worth it. But then after 6 months, it was like, I can't do this anymore. So now we're going into Vietnam with these longer visas. It's like, all right, let's do a year. Let's do a year. And I can just do a visa run every 3 months. I can totally manage that. And then after that, our long-term goal has been Thailand. However, speaking of visas, they're making it a little more difficult for normal people like me because the visa price is just going up and up and up. So right now we're kind of reevaluating and thinking, is that where we want to end up? Can we end up there? So we're just kind of going with the flow, and we're going to go to Vietnam and just kind of see, like I always do, see what the universe brings, follow the synchronicities, all of that, and just take it day by day, I guess. I'm just happy to be in a place for a year, even knowing like I'll be in a year is what's exciting to me because I've been missing that kind of stability, So.
Yeah, it seems like that always comes up in the podcast episodes. It's like, how long is too long or how long is too short? And how long can you keep up the pace of just a different place, a different place, a different place, And like, what's the sweet spot? So yeah, I guess I'm hearing you say you're kind of longing for a little bit of stability for a while after all these years of this. It sounds
I'm
like.
tired. My body's tired.
Are you?
My mind is tired. Oh yeah. I'm ready to just kind of have a place with a room, with a desk, with all my stuff on it and a regular routine and friends. And, I'm sure you've heard the term a slow mad. We're slow mad. So we do take our time in places, but even that, I mean, you're constantly going to goodbye parties, saying goodbye to people. It's all worth it. I will always say it's all worth it, but that comes with the territory of being a nomad. You are just always in a state of flux, I guess.
Building a private practice can be challenging. I know for me, when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to manage paperwork. I knew nothing about insurance billing. The whole process was really daunting. Building a private practice can be challenging, to say the least. I remember when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to navigate insurance. I had no idea even what paperwork was required. So growing a caseload, navigating insurance, and managing billing and paperwork all take significant amounts of time. And that's all in addition to delivering great care to your clients. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join their insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. So in addition to their insurance program, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients and traveling the world. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's hello, ALMA.com/KYM to get started.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Because I wonder when it's going to wear off, because right now we go to a place and we're there for like 2 or 3 weeks and we're like, okay, we've been here, done that. We've seen it. We're ready to go, So we're like, are we ever going to again, find a place where we just want to live? Or is it always going to be this I'm just, I'm ready to go to the next one. I'm excited to go to the next place now because I'm bored with this one now, that kind of thing.
So do you go into your travels with kind of no end date and you just literally go with the flow and decide where you're going to go next shortly before?
Pretty much. I mean, right now we're booked through mid-November, which is probably the longest we've been booked out so far. Yeah, I know. And we don't know after that. So we have no idea.
Gosh,
we need
you're a true nomad. That's amazing. Yeah. And do you this is always the thing that always comes up with me. And I can imagine a traveling therapist is very busy because travelers need therapists like crazy. I can attest to that. But that's a question that I think all of us ask is, where do I belong? That's the question I always have is, where am I going to end up? Where I have these like visions, I would love it to be Thailand. It's proving to be a little difficult right now, but it's always that question. Should I go back home? Should I be in Asia? Should I be in Europe? So I would imagine you come up with that question a lot with your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the way a traveling therapist works is we're licensed, well, from the United States, we're licensed in a particular state. So all of our clients are there, so they never move.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Which makes that part easier, but the other part of what you're saying is like, where am I going to end up? That is definitely my struggle. It's like, am I ever going to like find a place where I just want to settle anymore? Because I just love it so much. The nomadic, like exploration and wanderlust or whatever, so.
Have you ever felt that? Have you ever felt that about any place? Like, I could be here?
Not really.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we love South Florida. We haven't even done a lot of like any, like, Thailand or any of those places. I feel like I would really love that area. Vietnam. Like I look at pictures, I'm like, oh my God, this looks amazing.
It makes my heart so happy.
And I really want to explore that side of the world. Right now, we kind of stay close to our time zones just because of work and everything,
makes sense.
But, no, I guess I'm always like searching for that place. It's like, this is it, but really it's right now, it's still this like, okay, we're just exploring, we're just in that like explore mode.
But I'm
hearing,
right.
Maybe I will. Yeah, maybe I will. And I hear what you're saying about, I mean, you've been doing it since what, 2017. So you probably are tired. I mean, we get tired. Yeah. We've only been doing it for a few years. So yeah. You're like, yeah.
That was a big sigh.
You're like, I am tired.
I love it. And I think everybody should experience it. But yes, I'm tired.
Yeah. No, I get it. So let's just talk for a second. So you're like doing this corporate job, you're selling news or whatever, and then you're like, this isn't working. So you go to Bali. And then how did you get into, let's talk about what you do. Like you're like a dream interpreter, like your coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing to me. Like how did that happen?
Well, it's always like a weird series of events where one little seed is planted, but I think a lot of these things happen in, I don't want to say crisis, but it's when you're kind of hitting rock bottom. And so I experienced a really bad breakup at the time. Now I look back and I'm so grateful that it happened because it led me to where I am now, obviously. But at the time it was like, that's when I was shaken to my core. So then I started visiting this bookshop called the East West Bookshop. And that's really where I started tapping into my spirituality. There were yoga classes being offered at the TV station in a conference room. I started trying that. I joined like a meditation group and I really started connecting with myself in, I guess, a deeper level. And one of the books that I picked up was called The Field Guide to Lucid Dreaming. And I had actually, that's not true. I had not always had vivid dreams. I just wanted to have vivid dreams. So I read the book, I started tracking my dreams. And then after I had my first lucid dream, that's when, I mean, I always say my first lucid dream is when I woke up. It was like, okay, something going on. This is bigger than, like, what am I doing sitting at a desk in front of a computer screen, all day? And this is like my life. So I started really, really diving into my dreams and paying attention to the symbols and the messages. I started like visiting people in my dreams. I started receiving all these messages. And when you learn how to interpret your dreams, I always encourage my clients to not turn to dream dictionaries because everybody is unique. Every symbol is going to be different for different people. So when you start learning your dream symbols, that's the language of your subconscious mind, which is like your deepest desire. So I started interpreting my dreams more, and I noticed I was having a lot of dreams at this time where I was stepping out of my comfort zone, a lot of really whimsical dreams. And then I was having a lot of dreams where I was at an airport or I saw a map of Vietnam randomly, or I was at the airport and I picked a place based on the cuisine, and I picked Malaysia. And then, a couple years later, I went to Malaysia. And I had forgotten about that dream. So it's become a part of my identity, this dream work. And then it dawned on me too that I was meant to be doing this because my name is Andrea Morrison. And I never realized that I literally have dream written in my name. And so when I noticed that, I was like, oh, it's okay, this is cool. So I've just really listened to my dreams, but I also have this other side of me, this marketing. I do love marketing. I do love that side that I was doing at the TV station. And so I'm also helping small business owners develop their businesses. I do virtual assistant, do marketing consulting and podcast management, all these different types of things, but it's all kind of under this umbrella of like a dream life. I want to encourage people, and I want to show people that living your dream life is possible. I'm not saying everybody needs to quit their job, but I just do believe that life is not meant to be the grind, and there are people that I worked with that still to this day are there, and I know that they're not happy there, and it's like, it doesn't need to be that way. I just want people to be happy, and I think sometimes you just need a really epic lucid dream to make you realize, like, wow, okay, I'm ready to start living. So
oh my God, that's so cool. Yes. Now, did you train yourself to have the lucid dream, or you just had one and then it was like, this is, oh my gosh, that's what that was?
You train yourself, you build yourself. Yeah, there's a whole process that goes into it. And I ended up creating I call it the dream method. And it all starts with remembering your dreams. So a lot of people can't remember their dreams. So it starts out with having this intention to remember. So you need the desire. D is desire, or decide, like, I'm going to remember my dreams. I want to, because you need to send the message. Is this okay that I share this?
I love this.
I feel like I could talk for hours about this. But.
No, listen, part of the traveling therapist membership is one whole deliverable every single month is like a woo-woo topic. So it's like,
I like
we bring in
that.
a psychic that reads tarot cards, and we do yoga. I mean, that's not really woo-woo, but stuff like this is right up my alley. I love it.
Good.
So this is so cool.
I'm all about the woo-woo.
Yes. And when I was a kid, I grew up in Virginia. So I grew up near the Edgar Cayce Center, who was, a psychic. And, so I read books about lucid dreaming when I was a kid. And I had a few myself that were like traveling dreams, I guess you'd call them. And sometimes I still will, but I don't remember them very well. So I'm liking this conversation because I'm like, okay, I want to hear about this method. Like, how do you set the intention?
So D is desire. It's all, and I always tell people that the dream method, I want people to also apply it to their life. So it's like, it's not just about dreams. It's about anything that you want to accomplish, So D is desire. Obviously you want to have the desire to do it. R is record. So leaving a dream journal by your bed. And I could go into so many details about this, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But just have a spiral bound notebook next to your pillow that's already open to the empty page. And as soon as you wake up, just write down anything you remember, even if it's just a feeling, because you want to start building up the habit. And then E is examine. So examine how you feel. So if you can't remember anything specifically from your dream, examine how you feel, because that is a form of dream interpretation. And over time, when you go back into your dream journal, you can look and see how you were feeling and correlate it to certain things in your life. I mean, it sounds obvious, but it's something we don't do enough.
Yeah.
Then A
Right.
is absorb. Absorb means look into dream work, even in your conscious life. So don't just immediately think about it right as you're going to sleep. Try to consume dream work topics as you're awake as well. Because again, it's sending the signal to your subconscious mind that this is important. So it's going to try to help you remember. So listen to podcasts, read books, read articles, watch videos, all that, just to have it on your waking mind. And then M is maintain. So that is one of the hardest steps because we live in a world of instant yes, no, instant gratification, but dream work does take time. And so when I first started recording my dreams, I feel like this was actually pretty quick, but I had my first lucid dream 3 weeks after I started reading this book and recording. And my first dream was just like one tiny little sentence. And then it kept getting bigger and bigger. And then when I had that lucid dream, I am not kidding, it was hands down one of the most exciting moments of my life because I woke up and it was just like, because I flew in my dream. I was Princess Peach. It was Mario World. There were rainbows. There was clouds. It was absolute, and it was so real. That was the craziest thing. Have you ever had a lucid dream?
Yeah, I mean, I think I did a lot when I was a kid, but it would freak me out. So I would like stop myself from doing it a little bit because I literally had, I don't know what they call it, but where it feels like you're almost out of your body, like an outer body experience. It would feel like that. So the feeling would freak me out and I would just like wake myself up kind of. But definitely I've had dreams where it's like, this is like my sister's house. Like what's going on here? And then I kind of pull myself out. I'm not great at remembering them, but I love this conversation because that'll, it's reminding me that I need to do that more. I need to write that stuff down and get in the habit of it, like you said.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and the first time I became lucid, it was very similar where it felt like an out of body experience where I actually woke up in my dream in my room. And there are little tricks you can do, reality checks. So throughout the day, you can just look at your hands and ask yourself, am I dreaming? So it feels really silly when you're doing it. But when you look at your hands, you build this habit and you ask, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? And so I had done that so frequently that in my dream, I woke up in my room and did the check, but my hands didn't look normal. They were all distorted. And then that's what made me realize I'm in my dream. And then I got,
oh my gosh,
really excited. But I knew again through this book, I learned you have to stay calm, because if you get too excited, you'll take yourself out of the dream. So then I just kind of sat there and I said, what should I do? And then this voice, I call it the narrator. The narrator just said, open the door and you'll know what to do. And so I opened the door. I flew through the turbulent skies of Seattle and then it became Mario World. And then that's when I was having the time of my life. And it changed my life forever. So
that's amazing. And now you're helping other people learn how to do this. That's so cool. And doing the VA, the virtual assistant stuff and all of that too, to help people.
Yeah. And it's been fun too, because the VA stuff, I wouldn't say somehow it's making sense. I'm attracting very magical clients. So the people I'm working with and assisting, they have businesses that are magical, just like mine. So the network that we're creating is absolutely, like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because they've all come through these, I keep saying synchronicities, but it keeps happening that way. And it's all connected. So it's been really, really exciting to experience.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. I love it. And it sounds like you found a way to run your business and do your work around wherever you are, time
Yeah.
zones, that whole
Yeah.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been lucky to have clients that most of my clients are on the East Coast. So I do end up working
Okay.
evenings here, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, their technology is amazing now. There's certain apps where you
Yeah.
can just send messages back and forth. I do a ton of voice messages. It's been really easy to manage that. So, and again, it's all
Nice.
about attracting the right people who it hasn't been difficult at all because they're such wonderful people.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, you're really passionate about it and you're probably just putting that energy out and it's working. The business
Yeah.
is going great. And you're, like you said, you're attracting the right type of customer, so to
Yeah.
speak. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that so much. How cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're in Bulgaria right now. And
Mhm.
so you guys will go back to Vietnam after this if the 3-month visa thing comes through? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's the plan. That's the plan to actually settle for a
Nice.
little bit.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So people always ask me this about dating and stuff. So you mentioned your partner. Did
Mhm.
you meet your partner like as a digital nomad? Were y'all doing the same thing, or did you just run into him and he decided to be a nomad with you? Like, how did that
Oh
happen?
man. It's kind of funny
If
because
you want to talk about it.
yeah, I think I love to. So he and I met
Yeah.
a little over 4 years ago. So I was teaching in Thailand. I was actually teaching kindergarten at an international school. So I knew I wanted to work with
Nice.
kids at the time. I mean, I would love to work with kids now too. I actually want to teach kids dream work. I think that would be a really cool thing to do.
Oh,
But
oh my God, because
so
kids are already there half the time
right?
anyway. And
Yeah,
like you teach them how to
exactly.
do that. That'd be
It'd be
amazing.
so
Yeah.
fun. Well, it was fun too at in my classroom. They had nap time. And so it was really fun we
Oh,
would talk about our dreams. And they didn't most of them spoke a little bit of English, but there would be times where I would always encourage them, what did you dream about? Most of the time it was Spider-Man or Elsa every time. But then
oh,
and I could tell that they weren't actually dreaming that. They were just saying that which that it was so cute. It was totally fine. But
yeah.
it was so exciting when they would actually wake up and run up and say, teacher, I had a dream about this. And I'm like, they remembered it. They're remembering. This is so cool. So
Yes.
anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh,
divert, but
no, I love that though. Yeah, that's
I
so
was
cool. You're
teaching
giving
in
them
Thailand.
permission to remember and talk about it, which is cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a
Hmm.
really unique way to teach them English too. So it was a
Hmm.
win-win for me.
Yeah.
But so at the time, yeah, I was single. And so I was on Tinder and I had been on Tinder multiple times and obviously never worked out. And then while I was in Thailand, my friends were just like, all right, you need to do it one more time. You just do it. And I said, okay, but this time I'm going to have my standards super, super, super high. So
Yes.
I really
Good.
only swiped right on a couple people, just a small handful. And so I matched with my boyfriend. And
Oh.
so he asked me to get dinner. And again, normal or not normal, old Andrea would have been like, what? No, aren't we going to talk for 2 weeks, like through chat? But I was like, no, I'm going to meet him. So I met him and sparks flew and we started dating,
Oh.
and he was starting his venture into being a digital nomad. He had worked at a design agency in Germany. At the time, I didn't even know what a digital nomad was. I didn't have a
Oh
laptop.
yeah.
I just had a little iPad, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? Like, people are actually living and working on their computers and just traveling. So he kind of
Yeah.
taught me what that was. And then, yeah, just through time, I just slowly evolved. I got my first laptop and then now I'm a full-fledged, full-time digital nomad.
I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's so cool. Oh, what a great story. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. That's really, yeah. I've talked to a couple other like single nomads and they're like, yeah, Tinder is everywhere. These apps are everywhere. So it's totally how I
Well, I'm
date.
curious if
That's
it's
cool to hear.
still, do you know if it's still, because I obviously haven't been on it in 4 years, but
Yeah.
is it still a popular way? I know I've heard that it's a popular way to like hook up with people, but I'm curious if people are still finding like long lasting, deep relationships off of it, or are there other apps or?
Yeah, I think there are other apps. I've been in a relationship for like 22 years, so I'm the worst person to ask, but we did meet on Match.com.
Oh,
like back when it was kind of a new thing,
wow,
so we met
that's
back
so cool.
then. It was a similar story. It was like my family was like, just get on there and see what happens. It was like the second person I dated, and then we've been together ever since.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. I definitely know that like Bumble and Tinder, because I did an interview a couple of weeks with somebody else and they were in Mexico and dating. And she was like, yeah, we use the apps all the time. So
Yeah.
it's still a thing. Yeah.
Well, cool. I hope more and more people find their digital nomad partners on there.
Yeah. And I think that if therapists are listening to this, we all know that we have those clients that it's really the quality of energy that you put out there. Like you said, you're like, my standards are going to be super high now. I'm just going to, only swipe for like the really good ones.
Yeah.
Because, you can meet a jerk anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you have to be careful and put that energy out. Like you said, like, okay, I only want like this high level. And then, it'll come to you, like you said.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
It worked out.
So cool. Well, thank you for sharing all of this with us. And if people want to work with you, how do they get a hold of you? If they want your VA services or your dream work or any of that stuff?
Well, my overall website is Dream Life Connection. My business name is Dream Life Connection. You can find me on Instagram. My website, my VA business is called The Virtual Alchemist. But that's also linked on Dream Life Connection, so you can find it there. But I'm just happy to chat with people really in the DMs as well. And I am really trying to connect. Something I've thought about trying to do is, provide I don't want to get into like offering or service, but I just want to talk with people to help them if they're thinking about starting this traveling experience. And because I wish I had that before, where I could ask someone, what do I need to know? And then I'll say, okay, well, this is what a visa is. I wish I had someone to tell me that, but I'm just happy to talk with people and tell them, certain places that are great for new nomads. And also obviously the dream work, that's a huge part of what I do. And I know that before, my biggest struggle was trying to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? I don't even know, but it was by connecting with my dreams that I started really figuring out what I want. And so dreams are really powerful. They're a really powerful healing modality. They're like your inner compass, basically. So just want to help people in any way I can, as cheesy as that sounds.
I love it. I can relate. I can relate. Well, thank you so much. And we'll put all your links in the show notes and everything. So if you guys want to reach out to Andrea, you can click the show notes and find her that way.
Thank you so much, Kim. It was so nice chatting with you. And I'm so happy we're connected now. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.